Yeah, there we go. German mineral water, boys and girls. This stuff makes that Italian, what is it, Pellegrino? You know what I'm talking about, that Pellegrino water. It makes that stuff taste like crap. Oh yeah, made in Deutschland. Every time you open the bottle, listen closely. Every time you open up a bottle of Gerolsteiner, so it has, jawohl, jawohl, jawohl. That was a bad joke, wasn't it? This stuff is great. I would never ever thought that I would piss money away on water. I always used to look at people at the checkout at the grocery store. I was like, what a retard you are. You're spending money on water. Which there's nothing wrong with water, but it's like it's free out of the tap. Oh my God. Whew. This stuff is so worth buying. Damn Germans. They do everything right. Except for that time back in that. I'm half German. I'm not dissing on the Germans here. Interesting enough, on the medium format GFX 50R and 50S, which are the same sensor. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with this or not. If you owned a Nikon D750, which I used to, and of course I had 4 recalls, and it was a horrible disaster as a build quality camera, but the output on it is dreamy. The reason for that, it has huge eyeballs or photosites on the sensor. It's a 24 megapixel full frame sensor. The dynamic range is hot, 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 hot. It's reminiscent of the Nikon D4, which is a 16 megapixel full frame, It's just incredible. Just incredible tonality and dynamic range for portraiture. Just whoa. Whew. Now, Fujifilm won't like me saying this, but here's an absolute fact. The 100 megapixel Fujifilm that some people said they're waiting for, that's coming out in March or April of next year, that it's the same size sensor. So you've got, instead of 51 megapixels, you've got 100 megapixels jammed onto the exact same size sensor. Now to increase, that would be a serious issue as far as pixel pitch and actual native SNR, signal-to-noise ratio, a la the sensor. But this is the reason why they made it a BSI sensor, backside illuminated, which has a stop, depending on how it's designed, and micro lens design and a few other factors will make it have a stop to stop and third to stop and 2/3 better dynamic range than a conventional sensor, as is found in the 50R and the 50S, and this is the same sensor that's, by the way, found in the Pentax Z and also in the Mamiya Leaf Credo. But the thing is, and no one has talked about this, and I love making videos nobody talks about, is that the tonality and dynamic range and the image fidelity, which is the correct terminology for it rather than micro contrast, but you know what micro contrast is, but it should be called image fidelity. The image fidelity and everything involved with the GFX 50S and 50R sensor will be that exact same classic incredible once the 100 megapixel BSI drops out. I mean, obviously it'll be like the Nikon, well, it'll actually be a little bit worse than the Nikon D850, or it should be, as far as tonality and dynamic range. But I mean, people are going to ooh and ah over the fact that it's a 100 megapixel sensor, and rightly so they should. But the point being is, as I've said before, if you can't nail it with 51 megapixels in medium format, and you sure as hell can't nail it with 100 megapixels in medium format. So once that camera drops out and all the reports on dynamic range and whatnot start getting reported, people are going to look at this sensor, which is not going anywhere next year, by the way. I mean, they're still going to continue to make these cameras with those sensors in them. People are going to look at the GFX 50R and the 50S the same way people look at the Nikon D4 and Nikon D750, as far as incredible tonality, dynamic range, and just like, wow, that's it. You know, that's the honey. They're going to look at it exactly the same way. So I wanted to be the first person to make a video on that, because there is absolutely no speculation about this involved. You know, you can't take the same size sensor, even though it's a BSI sensor, and cram in twice as many megapixels on there and not have the issue, the exact same issue as like a Nikon D750 versus a Nikon D850. Now, the image output from the Nikon D850 is incredible, but it don't match the dynamic range and tonality of the Nikon D750, which is incredible. That's because it's 24 megapixels. No, I don't want to open up dictation. It's 24 megapixels on a full frame sensor, and there's huge photosites on there. So If anybody is like waiting for 100 megapixel GFX, which I don't care if you do wait for it, I don't sell anything, just make that realization that this 51 megapixel medium format on the GFX 50S and 50R is the sweet spot that no one is ever going to look back a year or two from now and poo-poo, stick their noses up at. That's an important point, and I did want to make it. Did it deserve its own video? I don't know. You be the judge of that one, huh? Okay. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye. Bump.